What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, you guys are having a good day so far. In today's video, we are on the test server here, and we will be going over some teams to help you guys out in the brand new event dungeon that just got released. So here we go. We got the event dungeon. I've made it all the way up to 30. But I'm going to show you guys a couple of different teams and strategies for different levels. And my main focus was try to make these teams as accessible as possible for most people. So obviously free to play with some accessible stats, and just show you guys how well they perform, because it's almost 100% certain that there's going to be some event dungeon events, especially during things like the coalition event. Perhaps there's going to be an event dungeon event for the fusion. We never know, but you need to have something that's viable to help you guys get through this event dungeon efficiently. Now, if you guys want to farm at the highest levels to get the highest quality drops, obviously pinpoint gear is not too bad. It's actually a pretty good set. 2-piece set gives you 10% speed, which is really solid, and it has accuracy along the way also. 4-piece set for pinpoint is also very good for PvP purposes. Now, first, let's go over a team that I think most people would probably want to use, and it's going to be a stage 20 team. Now, stage 20 in tournaments and events is going to give you some pretty solid points per energy. This is probably where you're going to farm if you're like mid game or early game, or try to reach this point. It also has a decent mix of rarity in terms of gear that can drop. Obviously not the highest rates on the highest rarities, but you're going to get some occasional 6-star gear, which is what you're really shooting for. Now, this is the team I'm going to showcase to you guys here today. Don't mind the empowerments on these guys. I made sure that their stats was a little bit more achievable so everybody can participate. But I'll highlight a couple of things here that you guys might want to take note of. First off, we have a couple of free login legendary champions at some point or another in this game. Folin was also a promo code champion, so you guys might have started off with him. He was also a fusion. Also, Lemonisi was the free login champion from last year's Chaos Awakes event. We have Ugo and Deacon, which both are part of various promo codes, so you might have started off with them, and Geomancer. Now, Geomancer is probably the champion that's most replaceable in this team. He's basically just here for a little bit of extra damage. You could definitely sub him out for any kind of damage dealer that you have. He's not bringing anything special here on stage 20. Now, what is important for this type of team is that you really want a champion that's a legendary with a strong blessing Brimstone. Brimstone's going to really help you deal some extra damage to clear the wave and boss champions so that the run doesn't take forever. I'll show you guys how this run works with this team, and I can show you guys the stats at the end of the run. So here, the important thing is obviously decreased defense. And then we have the block buffs. The block buffs makes things a lot more easier. It prevents some of these mob minions from obviously taunting up. That's the big one. But yeah, you can kind of see there, we blocked it. Really nice, just speeds things up a little bit. And then we got the Brimstone for some extra damage. Looks like we missed the decreased defense at some point. So for sure, the boss, Rhaia, would have died at some point. You see here, 32 seconds. Our best run was 15 seconds. We can run it again, just so you guys can see. Now, Deacon's kind of here just for like the speed aura. He's here for a little bit of turn meter boost and the decreased defense. We do have Ugo as a extra decreased defense, but she's, like I said, she's here for the block buffs. Lemonisi is very strong. She has the block buffs, heal reduction. The heal reduction is really helpful, especially when you're facing enemies that can heal themselves. You see here, Tholen finishing everybody off in 16 turns. The good thing about stage 20 is that they don't have anybody that can cleanse. They don't have anybody that can revive. So here, I'll show you guys the stats on this team that I just used. So we got Tholen Foulbear. He's very good just for a general AoE damage. You got an AoE A1, and then you got an AoE A3. All very good. You can see his total stats here. Nothing too crazy. I think this is pretty achievable. He doesn't have, he doesn't have ignore defense set or anything like that. I'm merely just focusing on stats here. So, just go for the 100% crit rate, crit damage, attack, decent speed. I'll show you guys the speed or the gear requirements here for stage 20 and the other levels that we're going to show here. You don't necessarily need accuracy on him usually, but because I have him with Brimstone, you do require a bit of accuracy to land it. And I got a little bit of masteries on him. Helm Smasher is the preferred. We do have Golden Elixir. Golden Elixir is really good against these dungeon waves, just mainly because they don't hit you very hard. And when they hit you, you're going to get a heal back. So it just gives Tholin a little bit of extra time to dish out the damage here. Up next, we have Lemonisi. She's also very, very strong for this content here. She does bring the AoE block buffs, which is very good. And the heal reduction, like I said, against the waves that can heal themselves, she's also very strong. She did come with a 5-star blessing that was free during her login event. So you guys might have that available to you. Like I said, Brimstone's going to be very good. She does require accuracy in her kit. This build, a little bit overkill in the accuracy. Like I said, I'll show you the requirements here. She could have more attack. It's not the best build ever, right? It's 100, not quite 100% crit rate, using the not quite super high crit damage. No blessings, and she is fully booked. You probably want her to be fully booked just so she can get these down to 3-turn cooldowns. And she does run the golden elixir, again, just to give her a little bit more time so that she can deal some extra damage. Now, she does accidentally, she does have a stalwart set on. This is not necessary at all. It's just whatever was on. And yeah, this worked out pretty well. This is the Geomancer we have. Again, decent speed with some accuracy. That's about it. You don't need any particular sets on him. We have the golden elixir on. Again, he was in no danger of dying, so it doesn't really matter what he had on. But he can be replaced with a lot of different champion options. You can kind of see from those runs. After that, we did have Ugo. Ugo is in the mix. Ugo is running this build here. Again, overkill accuracy. Don't need this much accuracy. Slightly above, faster than the rest of the team. And here she is running a hex set. This is kind of like my Hydra build, but I wasn't particularly leaning into a hex set for this team. Just so happens that it had it. You can run her with broken sets. It's all good. And lastly, we have Deacon Armstrong here with broken pieces. He is the fastest. He is crit cap for no reason. And then he has higher accuracy than required for stage 20. I'm going to show you guys this stage tool here from HH Gaming's website, and it's going to show you the event dungeon from the previous event dungeon. So this is the one with Pontiff. This was what was happening during the Assassin's Creed collab. It just gives you a rough idea of what kind of stats you need to shoot for these stages. I'm not saying that these stages are the exact same, but they should be in the relative ballpark, right? So we're on stage 20 here on the event dungeon. The boss requires about 300 accuracy for you to land stuff against them. Same thing with all the enemies. The enemies' speed's relatively low. And you kind of see here 180, 170. The boss is at 211. I'm not saying they're the exact same for this time around, but it just gives you a rough estimate on the ballpark of what you need. All right, let's move on to stage 25, and I'll show you what I was using for this stage. If you can do the stage 20 team, you can do the stage 25 team. The biggest difference here is that you do need a way to deal with this Elva. The Elva brings a cleanse, and she is a reviver. So the run can go kind of sideways if she stays alive, if she revives, if she cleanses. And then, of course, they have a little bit more sustain on this side. The enemy side, they have a bunch of healing, continuous heals. So it is a little bit of a trickier matchup, but it's very similar. If you can field a 20 team, you can make a 25 team with a small adjustment here. So I'll show you guys exactly what I did. And here we go. Basically, I'm going to use the same 4 characters here, and then we're going to sub out the Geomancer, which was pretty much the flex spot for a control champion. In this case, we're going to use Armans. Armans is absolutely perfect for this fight. Because he will not weak hit against Elva, which is very important, and he can CC them, take their turn meter, and then recover his own turn meter really, really quickly, so that he controls the Elva over and over again. Another champion that can work really well is lockout champions. If you have lockout champions, they can work really well because they give you a couple turns of her not being able to revive, of her not being able to cleanse. So somebody like, for example, Yumiko, that would be great because she's not going to weak hit. However, somebody like Fabian will work, but Fabian is negative affinity against Elva, so that's a little bit of caution. He will weak hit, and then your run will probably fail. I'll show you guys exactly how this works. It's very similar. You basically just, in this case, you have to control the wave slightly, mainly controlling Elva. We're going to rely on Armans for that. And then afterwards, we just chip away at the boss with our damage dealer here. It's really nice that the boss is void affinity. So that really allows us to use kind of a wider mix of damage dealers here. But in this case, the mobs are magic and force. We have to be careful a little bit about which control champion we bring in specifically. In this case, we have 2 force affinity damage dealers, which works to our advantage against this wave also. So keep that in mind. Lemonisi and Tholin. I mean, Lemonisi is not really considered a damage dealer, but she works pretty well here. And with the Brimstone, she's going to bring a lot. But anybody with a Brimstone relic, or sorry, Brimstone blessing should be considered to be brought in. Like I said, if you guys have golden elixirs, those are really good. It just gives your team a source of healing, gives them a bit of extra time. And here we're going to do 25 in about a minute. Not too bad. This team's not optimized or anything like that, but it works pretty well. The other good thing about this team that we put together here is that it has multiple layers of the same thing. So it has much lower chance of, failing due to RNG. We have multiple decreased defense. We have, multiple AoE block buffs. And in the event that the block buffs don't land, we have heal reduction, which will prevent them from healing up. So I really like this team. I think it's mostly accessible. I don't think the gear quality on them is that, oppressive. Is not unobtainable. Here's my Armans if you guys want to take a look. He's 300 speed with 400 accuracy. He's not crazy. I just removed some gear from him. And we can take a look at the stage 25 kind of gear requirement here from the stage tool. Again, these are the stats from the previous event dungeon, just to give you a rough idea of what to work with here. The boss requires 355 accuracy or thereabouts. The boss is 236 speed. This is from the previous event dungeon. The mobs are about 220 speed. So you really want your champions to be at least above these champions, at least above the enemy champions, so that you can lap them and you can cycle through your abilities faster. You can recover faster. You can CC them faster. You can do more damage. So just some stat thresholds for you guys to look for. And then lastly, I want to show you a stage 30 team. Now, I know that stage 30 is not going to be accessible for a lot of players. The enemy composition is very difficult. They're bringing Neve into the mix. So Neve, she brings a passive block damage. This thing is probably going to give a lot of people a lot of issues. So she starts off the round with the block damage on the entire team. They have a team-wide reviver here with Glacade. They have continuous heals with King Galkabar. And then they have a damage dealer here with Caldor, and he also brings continuous heals also. So it's definitely a bit of a mess here. Now I'll show you guys a team that I'm going to probably be using against this, just because I like how consistent it is. I don't think there's going to be any chance of failure. A lot of teams that I've kind of was trying out had like the 3% chance to fail, or it really leaned heavily into having something not bad happen. But the fact is, like with this team that I'm going to show you guys here, I feel like it's probably going to be pretty close to 100% team. It sacrifices a little bit of speed for that, but unless I have 100k energy every time an event starts, it doesn't matter if it's an extra couple seconds faster. All right, so here we go. So surprise, surprise, we have Seer. She's back. She's literally been in like every single event dungeon. She's just really good to deal with waves. Whatever waves that Player M gives us, no matter how weird it gets, it seems like Seer is able to go through them. And this event dungeon is no different. You could also use somebody like with ignore block damage. Now, I'm not sure if that is more easily accessible for people than somebody having a Seer. Like maybe the current fusion that's going to be happening with Folin Silverheart, like he ignores block damage. Maybe he's going to be helpful, but you also need the champion to hit super hard. So for me, Sears seems like an obvious pick here. Similar mechanic as previously, having the block buffs really helps. So we're going to bring Lamasu here with the block buffs. She also brings decreased speed and a nice speed aura to help us out with the speed requirements. Lydia is going to bring decreased defense and weaken for the big hits. She also brings a couple buffs for Seer to rip off. We don't have a specific team built for Seer, so if you have a weaker Seer, you need to bring more buffs, like a shield set. Like I don't even have a shield set on this team. You might need to sub out a champion to bring with more buffs. We have Kymar here, and Kymar's going to give us basically the guarantee clear with this team. in that he brings a reset. He also opens the fight with a buff removal. So he has a chance to remove the buffs also, just in case Seer gets 3%. So again, we have multiple layers of our kind of insurance here. We have the Kaimar to open with the strip. We have Seer with the strip. We have, Lammasu with the block buffs to prevent any more block damage stuff from happening from Neve. And then we have the reset for all of that to happen again. So I'll show you guys exactly how this team works. So we're going to open decrease defense and weekend plus speed. Kaimar comes in, strips everybody. Everybody's dead. Taras with the A2 hits super hard. You can kind of see a big chunk of health is gone. And now we just reset, do it all over again. And it's GG. Boom. 17 seconds, 12 turns. Really, really nice. I know there's teams that can probably do it like 10 seconds faster, but you always have to worry about that 3%. And when you're doing, like I said, 100K energy, 3% of 100K, you're losing 3,000 energy. That's a lot. So I'm not willing to lose that. 12 turns, 15 seconds. Very nice. Obviously, this team is not, free to play in the sense that you have a bunch of, 6-star champions. Also a very, very powerful damage dealer with Taras. But it kind of just gives you an idea of what you can actually use to take down this fight encounter. The other thing that's really tough is that if you can't kill the Neve right away, she has a reoccurring block damage that happens from her passive every time she goes below 50%. So that's why the block buffs is very important, because it stops her from reapplying the block damage. Right? So there we go. Oh, this one, no decreased defense was applied from Lydia. So that's why Taras was hitting much weaker. So this might be like one of the worst scenarios where we're not able to get the decreased defense landed. But we still have enough to kill off this boss, because she doesn't hit hard enough by herself. And then we can just finish it up with our damage dealers here. So I'm kind of happy that it showed like this run where, it kind of messed up the debuffs, but hey, it still worked out, and it's a 30-second clear. So very, very nice. Anyways, let's go over the champions here real quick that I was just using on this team, so you guys have an idea of what to shoot for. Lydia, we're in a 9-piece Feral set, so she's going to be boosting up some of the damage here. Taras in a 9-piece Merciless set. These are the damage stats on him. Yeah, I mean, he hits pretty hard. He has the Gore Crescent. Gore Crescent was used for another dungeon, so it's not a big deal here. But any kind of damage dealing, Relic is good. Running Crushing Ren, so he's going to hit super hard against the boss in PvE content. We got Lammasu here. She is a 9-piece Feral, so you get a damage boost also with the decrease speed and block buffs. She can be subbed out. I think Lemonisi would work too. Lemonisi in a similar type build would actually work pretty decently, mainly here for the block buffs. We have Kaimar here. Kaimar's in a Hex set. Not necessary at all. Yeah, he's not necessary at all. Just here for whatever. Just here for the reset. You can have him even go slower than everybody just for the reset ability. So if you don't have him 60'd or geared properly or whatever, you just use him for a reset. But for me, I have him going a little bit faster so that he has a chance to strip. I think the accuracy on him is a little bit shy. And then lastly, of course, you need a pretty powerful seer for this. We got, this year, 250 speed, 370 crit damage, and of course, accuracy to strip off all the buffs, 440 accuracy, no Relic, Crushing Ren for the blessing, and then no Helm Smasher, just the extra crit damage. Now, for the stat requirements, I'll show you guys what it takes on level 30, according to the previous stage dungeon, just so you guys have an idea. And the boss was kicking in at 291 speed. You need about 500 accuracy to land your debuffs against basically everybody. So it looks like perhaps we were a little bit shy on the accuracy, maybe on the seer. So perhaps we got a little bit lucky on the seer strip. Same thing with the Kaimar, a little bit low on the accuracy. So definitely aim for about 500 if you guys are doing stage 20, at least according to the previous event dungeon. So like I said, we were a little bit shy on the accuracy on the Kaimar, so 400, and then 450 for the seer. So definitely aim for 500 if you guys want to do this consistently. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys, just to give you guys some ideas. Like I said, the first two teams for stage 20 and 25, I did focus a little bit more on free-to-play accessible champions as well as free-to-play accessible gear and builds. But for stage 30, it's definitely going to be, you're going to have to bring your A game, bring some good champions, and obviously have your team going in the proper order and all that. Now, this is day one. I'm not going to fine tune everything in a single day. So let me know in the comments below if you guys have a better team, of course. Let me know what's working for you guys. Appreciate you all watching till the end. Have a great day and see you guys in the next video.